Pawn shop employees of Reddit. What is something people think is collectible or worth a lot of money, but is actually relatively worthless? Not a pawn shop employee, but I flip things, and one thing that a lot of people misunderstand is comic books. They're usually not worth more than a couple bucks unless you go really far back, like 50s/early 60s. Even then they need to be in excellent condition. A few scuffs around the edges and a bit of fading can easily make a $1,000 book worth $50. Pawn shop employee here. There's a lot, but one that stands out to me right now are watches. Brands like Fossil, Michael Kors, Citizen, etc. cost you over $100 at stores like Macy's, but we typically sell them for about $40, even in like new condition. When something goes from new to used, the value of said item goes down a lot. Jewelry. Especially diamond rings. Yeah, you paid thousands, it's worth considerably less. Longer burger baskets. The next state over there is a now defunct basket making company whose HQ is a giant basket. They were a thing for a while, similar to Beanie Babies, until the bottom fell out of the market. People were buying these things as a long-term investment, but they are practically worthless now. People think they still have value. I sell things online, and one thing people never seem to understand is that just because you paid a certain amount for something doesn't mean it's actually worth anywhere near that. Baseball cards. Sure, I have heard of that person, but it is the wrong year, the wrong brand, and it looks like it rode around in the spokes of a bicycle. Not a pawn shop employee though. Obligatory not a pawn shop blah blah. What kills me is when someone sees a single item, example Megalodon tooth, online selling for a ridiculous sum and assume all Meg teeth are worth the same. 2 questions. 1. Is that just what it's listed at? Yeah, no one will actually end up paying that much. And 2. Is that an especially rare tooth that makes it extremely valuable? People lose their minds when they see fat toys like Beanie Babies that everyone thought would be worth a ton of money. If the thrift stores are full of piles of it, it is worthless. If the pawn shops are full of it, it's also worthless. If everyone thought it was going to pay their retirement, it's worthless. Clothing. I know most pawn shops don't sell clothing, but clothing is not worth what you pay for it once you remove the tags. Also, most clothing that you think is worth money is not. Most mall brand clothing that you pay $50 for will sell for about $5 per item on eBay, if it even sells at all. Don't even get me started on what those items are originally tagged. If you wear it once, the depreciation is probably 80% of what you paid for it, or even more, and that would be for the higher end brands. Baseball autographs after like 1935. Willie Mays, Ted Williams, Mickey Mantle. Yeah, they signed thousands of things. Often low as values of their cardstock. Not a pawn shop employee, but I'll share what the guy I went to told me. I priced out some coins and a watch for my dad's estate, and the watch, even though it was in excellent condition and from 1905, was worth like $125. The coins were basically worthless. He told me, go skip these across a pond if you want to get any enjoyment out of them. ITT people confusing the merchant who needs to resell something and make a profit doing so with a collector who will keep the thing. No shit, the guy trying to make money isn't going to pay you very much. I've got an attic full of old Star Wars toys that I played with when I was a kid. Every time a new movie came out before Disney bought the rights, there would always be a huge uptick in toy sales. Some of the stuff I have from the late 70s and early 80s is worth a little, but I've heard all the later released toys are practically worthless barring a few rare exceptions. The stuff I have might net a couple grand at best. Not the investment I thought it would be when I was younger. Pawn shop employee here, just a friendly reminder that no one wants to buy your great-grandmother's china set. Fine art. Every once in a while, someone finds an old master drawing, etc. in their attic, but for the most part it's mostly junk by amateurs. Also, just because family law claims a painting is by such and such a person, without concrete documentation, that claim is worthless. Edit, as a PSA, don't take fine art to a pawn shop. If you have any inkling that a work of art is worth something, go to an auction house or professional appraiser. Not a pawn shop employee, but I was into the used video game market for 9 years of experience. People often fluctuate games incredibly wavy a lot of the time. Resellers can scam you easily if you do not pay attention. If you are paying $20 for Super Mario Bros. On the NES because it's the first game and because it was on the NES, you're getting scammed. It is roughly worth $5 at most, no matter if it was with Duck Hunt or triple bundled with Duck Hunt and World Class Track, I believe. And you need to understand, most games that are loose, no box, no manual, just the cart or disc itself, will lose a lot of value and be worthless. The only exception is the game. If it's the original Chrono Trigger on the SNES, then it's going to be sold highly and will have value. Normally a lot of good solid RPGs from the SNES era will typically be hard to get cheaply and understandably so. You'd be surprised, even, how consoles even get mixed up like this too. Yeah, the NES all had Model 01 printed on them. Just because yours has it, does not always mean it's the first model released. Not a pawn shop employee, but I know of plenty of people who collect old comic books thinking they are valuable. Honestly no, the classic ones worth something only have value from being from a time where comics weren't widely printed, as well as not many people thinking to take good care of them, so are in mint condition and valuable. Collectible items. Just because you learn Hurt 2-in-1 bidet and water bottle says it's collectible doesn't mean that anyone wants it. Rick Harrison himself once told me my life is worthless. I thought I was worth at least $1,000. Maybe I should try the black market. Not a pawn store employee, but I flip things. Fish tanks are worthless. A $1,000 brand new fish tank is worth fuck all. Large tanks explode when they get old. Shit, even small ones explode. Anything from the Franklin Mint, or similar companies. We would get so many porcelain dolls, and collectible plates. Swarovski crystal ain't worth shit. My cousin worked at this pawn/thrift store in our hometown that was in the middle of nowhere. One thing that was always common were those old creepy dolls made with glass faces, real hair, etc. He's told me stories of people fighting over these dolls, but in the end they couldn't use them for anything. The dolls would be so old and fragile that even touching them was a risk of the whole thing breaking apart. Sure, you could collect them, but there were a lot of problems that got in the way of them being worth anything. Edit, I talked to him last night about this. He told me this story of how he was asked to put one on a shelf one time, and just a few seconds after he had carefully placed it on the shelf, the head tilted and rolled off. Never before had he screamed so loudly. To his confusion, someone still wanted to buy it. There was also this investigation that happened, because of a suspicion that a doll in the store was grave robbed along with a few other things, yet this old woman still wanted to purchase the doll. When she heard that the doll had been taken into investigation by police after, she threw a fit, swearing more than my cousin had ever heard in his life. In the end, the doll was confirmed to have been grave robbed, to my cousin's trauma of just making it more creepy. Obligatory not a pawn shop employee, but I watched something last night about how people will try and sell old Beanie Babies for thousands when only one or two are worth that much. Greater than what is something people think is collectible but is actually relatively worthless. Internet points. State quarters full set. So many grandmas think a full book with all the state quarters there are priceless. Worth exactly as much as 50x.25. The fucking Charizard Pokemon card. Kids always came in asking if I had one. Thinking it was worth like a $1,000 or something, I sold them for about $10 to $50 for a while until the Pokemon rage died down. Now they're worth like $1. Remember people. Worth and value are two different words for two different people, the salesman and the consumer. Edit, most of these cards weren't worth nearly as much as they were. The shadowless ones that people keep asking about definitely did not come through the shop. There was only one card that I remember because two people basically fought in a bidding war over it at the counter. I think it sold for 150 to 200, but it was for their kids, so I bet they just wanted it for their children's sake. Maybe one of those shadowless first edition ones came through and we lost a potential golden egg. Nobody really cared that much though, and smartphones weren't a big thing then, so no on-hand references. Not like I was getting that money anyways.